Hi there. So last class, we talked about slope-intercept form. Today we're going to go over chapter 7.2, general form. General form is the equation of a line in a form ax plus by plus c equals 0, where a, b, and c are real numbers, and a and b are both not zero. By convention, a is a whole number, so a has to be a whole number. This means that a will always be positive. X-intercept is x-coordinate of a point where a line or curve crosses the x-axis. So what is the value of y on x-axis? So for example, if we have a graph, that goes straight like this, and this is x-axis and y-axis. So this point here, let's say that coordinate is -2 and 0, and this point here is 0 and 1. So this point here is on x-axis, so this is called x-intercept. So on the other hand, we can say this point is on y-axis, so this point is called y-intercept. So what is the value of y on the x-axis? So the value of y on the x-axis is always 0. Just like here. So for a point to be on x-axis, y value has to be 0. Let's move on to example 1. Rewrite the equation into general form. So we're trying to make it into this form. What we have here is slope-intercept form. Notice we have a fraction coefficient in front of x. So we first need to multiply that denominator to both sides to remove the denominator. So what we're going to do here is multiply both entire equation by 3. So we multiply y times 3 in the first term and the second term here. We get 3 times y is 3y equals -2 because 3 cancels out, plus 3 times 6 is 18. Next step will be to notice that we have a negative coefficient in front of x. By convention, we need our a to be positive whole number. So what we're going to do, we're going to remove that negative into the other side so we can have a positive x. So we get 2x plus 3y equals 18. And the last step would be just remove that 18 from the right-hand side so we can have everything on the left-hand side and make it equal to 0. That's it. So for part B, we'll do the same thing. So we have a fraction coefficient. We're going to multiply both sides by 4. So we're going to multiply in here, expand it. So we have 4y equals 3x minus 8. Next step would be move the y to the right-hand side by subtracting 4y on both sides. We do this so that we can have x and y and the constant on one side. Okay, so we get 0 left on the left-hand side. We have 3x minus 4y minus 8. This is already in a general form, but if you want, you can rewrite it so that 0 is on the right-hand side. Just switching the side now. 2, we're going to write that general form equation into a slope-intercept form. and draw the graph. So we know that slope-intercept form looks like y equals mx plus b. What we're given here is a general form, so we're going to go backwards now. So let's take a look at the general equation they provided us. In order for us to isolate y onto the left-hand side, we're going to remove 3x on both sides. So we get y plus 3 equals negative 3x. And then we're going to move that 3, so we subtract 3 on both sides, and we get y equal negative 3x minus 3. So now, notice that this value here is m. Slope is negative 3. And this value b is negative 3, which indicates y-intercept is negative 3. Y-intercept is 0 and negative 3, the coordinate. So we're going to start graphing by plotting the y-intercept because that's the only coordinate we know. So coordinate is 0 and negative 3. So we have 0 and negative 3 here. Let's say this is 0 and negative 3. And then what we're going to do, we're going to use a slope. You know, slope is rise over run. And if we say slope equals negative 3, we know it's technically over 1. So we go 3 down and 1 to the right. So let's follow the step here. So we go 3 down, 1, 2, 3, and then 1 to the right. So we have a next point here, and you continue the pattern. Also, you can go backwards as well. You go 1, 2, 3 up, and 1 to the left. It's also another way to do it. And so once you plot these points, you can connect them. Just like that. That's it. Moving on to example 2, part B. Determine the general form equation of a line shown. We're looking for general equation, which is ax plus by plus c equals 0 form. So what we need to know is that we cannot go straight to general form from the graph. It's quite difficult. So what we need to do is first set up y equals to mx plus b, and then you rewrite it into the general form. What we can do first, to get the slope-intercept form, we need y-intercept and slope. So let's check that out. So on this line, we have, this is x-axis and y-axis, and this is the y-intercept. And this happens at 0 and negative 3. So we have b equals to negative 3. And now we need slope. Slope, we pick another point that's nicely on the tip here. So these are nice points. So we'll do 1, 2, 3 up. So 3 up and 1 to the left. 1 left. So we can write that slope equals positive 3 is rise over run. This time it's negative 1. So positive 3 divided by negative 1 is just negative 3. So slope is negative 3. Let's plug it into the y-intercept form. Slope-intercept form. So we have negative 3x minus 3. Slope-intercept form. And from this slope-intercept form, we're going to rewrite it as a general form. So what we're going to do is move that negative 3 so that it's positive coefficient. So let's add 3x on both sides of the equation. So we get 3x plus y equals negative 3. And then you remove that 3 on the right-hand side by adding 3 to the both sides. So we get 3x plus y plus 3 equals 0. So example 3, graph each equation using x and y intercepts. We are given a general equation, general form equation, and we're going to first determine what x and y intercepts are. So x-intercept happens when y equals 0. That's a definition we went over in the beginning of this lesson. So we're going to rewrite this equation by subbing in y equal to 0. Okay, so I subbed in y as 0. And so we're going to simplify. So 7x minus 56 equals 0. Because this one, 0 times anything becomes 0. And then we're going to remove negative 56 by adding it to both sides. Because what we're trying to do is isolate x. So we have 7x on the left-hand side and positive 56 on the right-hand side. We divide both sides by 7 so we can fully isolate x. So x equals 8. This tells us that x-intercept happens at 8, 0. Now let's take a look at y-intercept. Y-intercept happens when x equals 0. So this time we're going to sub in x equal to 0 into the equation we're given. So I subbed in x. So we have negative 8y minus 56 equals 0. And then what we want to do is remove the negative 56 by adding 56 to both sides. So we have negative 8y equal to 56. And we're trying to isolate y, so we divide both sides by negative 8 because we want to make sure that there's no negative in front of y. So we get y equals negative 7. So this indicates that y-intercept happens at 0, negative 7. And we're going to plot these points onto the graph here. So let's see, 8, 0. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. 8 is here. So this is the x-intercept. And y-intercept happens at 0, negative 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is negative 5 and negative 7. So this is 0 and negative 7. And let's just connect the points. And that's it. Moving on to example 3, part B. So we are given the general equation with fraction coefficients. But we're going to do the same thing. We're going to look for x-intercept and y-intercept separately, and then we're just going to plot those two, just connect the points. So when x equals 0, we can just sub in to the equation x equals 0. And this time we're solving for y. So let's solve and simplify. So this becomes 0. So we are left with negative 1/2 y minus 1 equals 0. Let's add 1 to both sides to remove that constant. So we have negative 1/2 y equals positive 1. And then we're going to get rid of the coefficient by multiplying negative 2 to both sides. So we have positive y equals negative 2 left. So y-intercept happens at 0 and negative 2. So let's take a look at x-intercept this time. So when y equals 0, we can find the x-intercept. So let's plug it in, y equals 0. So 1 over 5x minus 1/2 times 0 minus 1 equals 0. So this goes to 0. We're left with 1 over 5x minus 1 equals 0. Here we could move that constant, so we're going to add 1 to both sides, and we are left with 1 over 5x equal positive 1. We multiply both sides by 5, so we can get rid of the denominator. We're given x equals positive 5. So x equals to 5 is x-intercept, which happens at 5, 0. And then we're going to plot these 2 points. So y-intercept happens at 0 and negative 2, and x-intercept happens at 5, 0. So 5 is here. So once we plot those, we can just connect those points. Just like that. That's it. This is it for 7.2 lecture. So I'll see you guys in the next video.